Hey folks, a while ago I told you that our dog Tildy was very sick. She was deathly ill, actually, and I say that without exaggeration. She had been suffering with explosive diarrhea, worse than I've ever seen in a dog, to the point where she was passing nothing but high-pressured bloody water. And she was throwing up so much that even if she took the smallest drink, within a minute or two, she'd throw it up. And then it got to the point where she wouldn't drink at all. She must have been in a lot of pain from all of that. She wouldn't drink at all. She became severely dehydrated. Luckily, we were able to get her an emergency visit at the vet, which cost a fortune, but you gotta do what you gotta do. They put her on an IV, got her rehydrated, put her on a bunch of meds, did a bunch of tests. They got her back on her feet, but it didn't really last long. She didn't get as sick, but she continued with the diarrhea and the throwing up. She didn't get any better until we made radical changes in her diet and took her completely off of every form of commercial dog food. Dog treats, milk bones, everything out of her diet. And she got better. And I told you I was going to make a video on this and post it very soon, but then I wanted to make sure that I don't jump the gun and tell you what we're doing is working, only to find out that it was only on a temporary basis. So far, she has been in perfect health. She is just awesome. It's better than I think we've ever seen her. So I wanted to give it sufficient time. Unlike when you see an unboxing video and somebody's giving you a review on the product, they just took it out of the freaking box. They haven't even used it yet and telling you it's great and buy it and here's their Amazon link. When I give a review on something, it's after I have used it for quite a period of time, then I'll give you my honest assessment on the product. So I didn't want to jump the gun and steer you in the wrong direction with your beloved pet. So I'm not going to tell you or recommend what you feed your dog. What I'm doing here is to tell you what was going on, share our findings with you about the horrific things that are going on in the pet food industry, which was a real eye-opener, show you what we're doing and share the results. And that's what we're going to do here. Nothing more, nothing less. I have had dogs my entire life, and like most folks, I have fed my dogs commercial dog food. We do so out of convenience, but we also want to make sure our dog is getting a balanced diet, that they're getting all the vitamins and minerals that they need to be healthy. And we rely upon the dog food companies to provide that for us. So with that being said, we seek out a reputable dog food company and buy from a reputable source, right? Nowadays, as people are getting more health conscious and buying more organic, we tend to believe that the less ingredients on the label, the more purity is in the ingredients, so that's the way that we shop. We always tend to spend more money thinking we're getting better ingredients. Most of the time, the higher cost and better ingredients go hand in hand, but not always. When we first got Frankie, we were feeding him the 4Health variety from Tractor Supply. The ingredient list looked good, the price was reasonable, we decided to give it a go. Everything was going good for a while, but then he started to develop some hot spots, some bare itchy spots on his skin. We didn't like seeing that. I think we might have stuck with the 4Health brand, tried a different variety. The hot spots would still appear. So we decided to start researching for a better dog food. We heard very good things about that company online called Chewy. Started to research dog food there. We found the Rachael Ray's brand. It was called Just 6, supposed to have 6 main ingredients. We decided to give it a go. We were buying that. Everything was going good for quite a while. Then, after Frankie passed away, we were still on auto ship with Chewy. Now, Chewy is a great company, and I highly recommend doing business with them. They are just great people to deal with. The prices are good. They have a large variety, great staff. I can't say enough good stuff about that company. But we were still on auto ship. Now we're down to 1 dog, and we had twice as much dog food on hand. So we canceled the auto ship, and we were feeding Tildy the Just 6. Then we got a new shipment in afterwards, and that's when we found that it was no longer called Just 6. Now it says limited ingredients, only 9 main ingredients. So we were feeding her that, and that's when Tildy's health started going downhill. When Tildy started having diarrhea, we really weren't that concerned because all dogs will have bouts of diarrhea from time to time and stomach upsets for various reasons.
So we put her on the go-to of chicken, pumpkin, and rice, or some combination.
And she was on that for a short amount of time, and she got better.
And then we would gradually introduce her regular food back.
And she would do okay, and then the diarrhea came back. We put her back on the go-to remedy. And after a few repetitions of this cycle where the diarrhea kept coming back, we brought her to the vets.
So the vet did a battery test looking for parasites, giardia, anything that would cause these kind of symptoms in a dog, and everything came back normal.
They put her on a course of antibiotic and anti-inflammatory, and what was the other thing?
A probiotic.
And a probiotic. And then Tildy was doing very well. She got back on her feet, and then we eased her back into her normal diet once again. Because at that time, we really weren't blaming the dog food. She had been eating this dog food her entire life, and we showed the ingredients to the vet, and they said there was nothing alarming in the ingredients list. It all looked like good dog food. So after being on a normal diet for a few weeks, she was doing good.
She didn't appear to be sick at all. She was happy and energetic. She seemed like her normal self. But her poops were still a little on the soft side, not quite as solid as we wanted to see them.
Yeah, and she was doing okay, and then she turned a corner and got deathly ill overnight.
Really fast.
Like I said in the very beginning of this video,
So,
we were really alarmed.
Yeah, we were able to get her in for an urgent vet visit, and we decided to have the full GI panel done for her so we could hopefully get to the bottom of what was happening with her.
And we showed that vet the ingredient list of this dog food, and again, there was nothing alarming in the dog food. After the GI panel, the results of that came back. She was diagnosed with pancreatitis.
Now, oftentimes pancreatitis in dogs, and probably people too, is caused by a diet too high in fat. We didn't feed Tildy a diet high in fat. She didn't get a lot of table scraps. We didn't give her excessive fat in any way, shape, or form. But the vet suggested that we transfer her to a special diet for dogs with pancreatitis.
We put her on this here, which is crazy expensive, but when you love your dog as much as a family member, you do what you got to do to make them feel better.
And meanwhile, since the food really wasn't to blame, as far as we knew, we gave the old food, the Rachael Ray food, to our friend.
Yes, and this is where the whole situation turned another corner, because right away their dog got horribly sick with the exact same symptoms as Tildy, the explosive diarrhea, the throwing up, and dehydration, would not eat or drink, and was circling the
And I
drain.
want to add right here that Rachel Ray sold her dog food company back in 2018. So let's not blame this on Rachel Ray herself.
This is true, okay? And half the time, the dog food companies themselves aren't really to blame. It's the rendering plants that are supplying them with the meat meal. And we'll discuss that here in a minute.
Anyway, she's on this expensive vet diet, doing okay for the first week or so,
Yeah.
and then her diarrhea came back.
Once our friend's dog got sick, Lori starts really digging into the history of Rachel Ray's. That's when she found out Rachel Ray had sold a company to another company. And we got into the consumer reports of Rachel Ray's dog food. Well, let's share a few of these reviews with you here.
My 2-year-old dog is currently being hospitalized for 3 days as a direct result of the poisonous food. She has severe pancreatitis, hemorrhagic gastritis, and severe dehydration.
After 2 days on this food, my dog was vomiting blood.
My dachshund ate this food for 2 weeks. At week 3, I stopped giving it to him because it gave him severe diarrhea.
Our 6-year-old lab has been on Rachel Ray's for almost 2 years. Several months ago, he started getting very sick. Non-stop bloody stools, loss of control in his bowels and bladder because of so much diarrhea. He was literally having blood dripping from his rectum.
I don't know if they changed the formula or what, but my dog started throwing up for 4 days straight. I took her to the vet, and $325 later, my dog is better. Something told me to research this brand of dog food, and after reading the reviews, it's evident that this food poisoned my dog.
Please do not feed your dogs this brand. My healthy Pomeranian got extremely sick in a very short period of time eating this food.
My dog died an ugly and messy death. I suspect it is due to feeding her Nutrish. My surviving dog won't touch the stuff.
That's just a few of the reviews we found on Rachel Ray's Consumer Affairs. But there is a lot more just like them. Repeated scenarios of dogs getting sick, vomiting, having prolonged diarrhea. They're being diagnosed with pancreatitis, hemorrhagic gastritis, and severe dehydration. Not what you're expecting when you put your faith in a dog food company. Lori's research took us down a wormhole of horrifying facts about the dog food industry.
One of the things we learned is that a lot of dog food manufacturers and a lot of brands of dog food, other than Rachel Ray's, have been recalled, had lawsuits filed against them for various contaminants, including Roundup, phenobarbital, and dog DNA has even been found in some brands of dog food.
Finding dog DNA and phenobarbital is pretty condemning evidence that your euthanized pets that don't go home with you or are sent off to the crematory end up in the same vat as all of the other dead and diseased animals that go into making meat meal, the meat meal that is found in the dog food. This is from rendering plants in the United States.
People like to think that the FDA regulates pet food. They do only to the degree that your dog is a farm animal. So the only criteria that these ingredients have to have is to meet feed grade standards. And that allows for dead, diseased, dying, and decomposing animals and meat to be used in the meal.
Over the last few years, we've seen the price of eggs skyrocket on numerous occasions because of a bird flu and tens of thousands of chickens being destroyed.
Now the FDA says those birds, those diseased birds, can go into your pet food. And they indeed do go into your pet food.
So we're not going to elaborate any further on that subject. Instead, we'll put the links in the description below. Links to Rachel Ray's Consumer Affairs, so you can read more of those reviews if you care to. but a link to a very informative website about how dog food is made. Some real eye-opening facts in there. So let's move on and show you what we did to cure Tildy and restore her health.
So after learning about the atrocities allowed in the manufactured pet food industry, we decided to eliminate commercial food completely from Tildy's diet.
We consider Tildy to be a member of the family. So now we are feeding her whole foods and not feed grade ingredients like before.
We were able to create a balanced diet for her by using a website called Balance It. They'll help you create a nutritionally complete diet for your dog, including their sodium needs and their fat needs. This website was created by veterinarians and pet nutritionists.
It has been a very big help to us, and Tildy loves her diet, and she is just showing signs of perfect health.
So for Tildy's diet, we decided to use ingredients based on our budget and what was available to us.
Most dog food recipes contain rice, and of course we all know brown rice is better. But Tildy just doesn't like rice.
It's a texture thing.
She'll eat and she spits out the rice, and when she's done, there's a mess of rice all over the floor. So we decided to use oatmeal instead.
Oatmeal's kind of a win-win because she likes it, and it's more nutritious. It's affordable, but it's a good source of protein. So I make Tildy's oatmeal pot every other day, and that consists of 5 servings of oatmeal with the recommended amount of water. To that I add a can of carrots.
We're using canned carrots because we found that Tildy digests them better. We were cooking fresh carrots and cooking frozen carrots, but we were still finding too much carrot left over in her poop, which simply means she's not getting what she should out of them. And we're also using unsalted carrots because Lori adds the recommended amount of sodium that she got on that Balance It website.
I also include the water from the carrots because that's full of nutrients. And after that comes a half a can of pumpkin, a chopped apple, a good handful of green beans, and then the salt and fat recommended by the Balance website.
How much venison?
About 6 ounces of venison a day we add to her ration. We also include a daily multivitamin to make sure she gets everything she needs.
And it's been so far so good. It's been 2 months now on her whole food diet, and every single poop is like it should look. They have a poop chart, and it shows healthy and not healthy. She used to be so far down at the bottom in the non-healthy range, and now she's scoring with a number 2.
Perfect poops every time.
When you get on the subject of diets, for humans or otherwise, you're going to get recommendations from both ends of the spectrum.
So if you're interested in creating a whole food diet for your dog, you've got to do some research. Find out what to feed and what not to feed. And if your dog has been diagnosed with a health issue, be sure that you consult your veterinarian.
Because in our case, Tildy's illness, the cause of Tildy's illness, kept being pulled away from the food that she was eating. Because the ingredient list was all good ingredients. The problem was coming from the toxins that weren't listed in the ingredients. Food for thought.
Because after all, a happy, healthy pet's what it's all about.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
That's just good backwoods logic.
Frankie and the boss out walking in the woods, living life happy and free. Tracks in the snow everywhere they go, there's a pokey way up in that tree. A beaver built a pond where they have some fun, taking life a day at a time. Best friends until the end. Frankie and the boss, Frankie and the boss, Frankie and the boss.